Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Friday, the 20th of September, 2024. Welcome to Saorsa Live. We're streaming live across Facebook, YouTube and TikTok tonight, so please do take the time to like and share across all these platforms. If we lose the live stream for any reason, please head to whichever one's still broadcasting so you can continue to participate in the chat. We're also recording tonight's live stream like we do every week to ensure the security and the integrity of the stream. So how is everybody? I hope everybody's great. Hope you've had a good week. The week where we celebrated 10 years since the referendum, and that was something special. We're going to be talking about that later on. But tonight we are specifically going to be diving deep into a critical discussion about Scotland's independence movement and the obstacles it faces. Obstacles intentionally set by the British state to suppress Scotland's right to self-determination. These obstacles are not random, right? They are calculated, deliberate strategies. They are rooted in divide and rule, the use of local elites and agent provocateurs, and then also the myth of economic dependency and exploitation. Our goal tonight is to break these concepts down very simply and reveal how they're still being used today, and challenge everyone listening to think about these tactics and why the British state still uses them. But as always, before I begin, I like to give you a little message that is very important. We start our lives with an important reminder that we are fighting one of the world's greatest propaganda machines, the British state and their right-wing oligarch-run media. To combat this, we ask that you always follow, like and share and comment positively across all social media platforms on any of your favourite Scottish independence creators and commentators. By doing this, you help to spread the word of our cause and manipulate social media algorithms to benefit our struggle. So please, for now, like and share this live stream, and if you haven't already, follow this account. Thank you. So it's pretty important that if you're part of the independence movement, to go and like and share and follow all your favourite independence commentators and creators. The reason being for that is that this is one of the only ways that we can actually beat the mainstream media, and that is by communicating directly to you through live streams, through videos, through memes, through blogs, vlogs, all that stuff. So it's dead important. If you don't want to, that's fine. Consider this as my digital sort of stall in the street, my pitch to you guys about independence and talking about stuff with it all. So I hope that you get the opportunity to just keep tapping the screen all night. Just keep tapping the screen. If you're on TikTok, send the likes and send it out to friends. If you're in Facebook land, which is over on that screen, and YouTube land there. But I'll quickly do a round robin of the platforms just now to see who we have here. As usual, you know something? Very rarely do we get anybody coming into, what's it called? The Book of Faces, the Facey Bookie. Weird. But across in TikTok land, we've got an abundance of people. We're already sitting up, thank you very much, for 1,274 lives. Some people might not think that's a lot. I think it's a lot, so thank you for all the likes. Who have we got in there? I saw Ali and I saw Druss. I saw Druss. Hi, Druss. Yeah, there's Druss. Ali, Druss, Ken, Alan Arnott. Have we met before? Your name is familiar. That's cool. And Dave's there as well, but I saw Dave and Ken across on YouTube as well. And Shirley. Hi, Shirley. And Henry. Amazing. Right, so acknowledgement there. Just share this out to as many people as you can. And if you are not able to watch it just now, what? My live visibility is not eligible for recommendation and is restricted in search results for the next 10 minutes. This is on TikTok. Low visual quality or static imagery. I don't think so. Hold on a second. What is it like in TikTok land? Can you see me just now? I'll have to go and view this myself now. That's shocking. I don't think it's static at all. We'll have to check this before we actually start on tonight. Going now to my phone to check the tick of talks. Friends. There's Saorsa live right there. No, I'm not static. Moving about. Never mind. That's just TikTok being funny. Let's begin with this, shall we? We're going to talk about divide and rule first of all. This is the first tactic we're going to explore, and it's called divide and rule or divide and conquer, depending on which way you want to look at it. This is one of the oldest strategies used by powerful states to control populations by turning them against one another. The British Empire was infamous for doing this in the colonies, whether it was India, Ireland or Africa, keeping people fragmented so they couldn't unite in opposition. Today, we see the same tactic being used against the Scottish independence movement. A prime example of this is the divide between Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond. Both leaders were once united in their goal of an independent Scotland, but personal and political disputes have torn that unity apart. Media, which often serves the unionist interests, has capitalised on this divide, consistently focusing on their rivalry instead of the larger cause for independence. This has created a fracture in the movement, turning energy inward instead of outward towards independence. I believe that there are most definitely some serious issues that are set between Nicola and Alex. However, I also believe that these issues are not reconcilable. Progression of our movement would gain dramatically if these two titans of Indy were to find a way to step onto common ground and again pull from the same oar. However, the division is perpetuated by the people even more so, and perhaps this is a factor as well, as the legal proceedings that both have been through and are experiencing. I find it disturbing that both these leaders have been subject to the full extension of the UK security services, when their scandals have either been quashed in court with regards to Alex, and has had over £1 million spent on an investigation over the past 2 years now with regards to Nicola, with nothing to actually show for it. How come, with all the financial scandals coming out of Westminster, the cronyism, how come we have not been subjected to daily Alex Bad and Nicola Blue tents for those that serve the status quo? Wait, I think I just answered my question there, didn't I? They serve the status quo and they'd get away with it. You know, that, what's her name, that Lady Moan, with all the millions of pounds that she got for the PPE. She's going through court, but we don't see it every day in the papers like we did with Alex and Nicola. So another thing that we're kind of been split on, that a lot of people have talked about, and this is a very delicate area, so please hear me out, okay? Please hear me out on this, and this is a social issue, and this is about the trans rights. It's a significantly important issue, and it has been weaponised to split the movement ideologically. It's something that needs to be addressed, and we need to understand that some people may not agree with self-identity, but it's there. And every single person on the planet has the right to live the best life they can without fear of persecution or interference. And that goes for women's rights as well. Consider my point, especially the fact that I was personally raised by a strong single woman, my mum, brought me up to speak out about what I feel was wrong and to stand up for those who may not have the ability to stand up for themselves. So I'm very much a women's rights campaigner with equal drive for trans rights. My mum was an artist in the 1970s, a single parent, and she had every colourful person coming into the house, and they were never a danger for me. They weren't called trans people back then. She called them cross-dressers, you know. The first ever demonstration I ever went to was at top of the mound. I was in my buggy, women's rights, demonstrating against the banks, because back then husbands had to sign for bank loans for women. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, here lies the problem. The amount of times I've read comments on Twitter posts regarding trans issues from voices in the wilderness expressing that they would not vote for Indie if Scotland were creating trans rights and things, and that whole debate bewilders me. Why wouldn't you vote for independence because of one particular issue? Because you feel that perhaps maybe the whole aspect of trans rights may compromise your personal beliefs. Look, women and ladies have to have safe women-only spaces, without a doubt. Right? I totally agree with that. Trans people also have the right to exist. And when we turn around and people persecute trans people for potentially being a danger, there have been issues where trans people have been a danger. But there's more people as a percentage that are dangerous that are not part of this minority. And we could go round in circles and round in circles and round in circles, and I could get loads of abuse for my feelings for it. But I am deeply, deeply pro-trans rights and deeply, deeply pro-women's rights. And so I'm not caught in the middle. I think that there's a common ground where both of these particular factions can work together to benefit each other, to take the strength from each other and forge something that works for everybody. Everybody. Because everybody, like I said before, has a right to exist without persecution or fear of interference. This has been, like I say, weaponized by the unionist forces. And they love this. They love the fact that we're shouting at each other about trans rights. Again, not shouting about independence. Because every moment we spend debating amongst ourselves is a moment we are not focused on building a collective push for independence. I mean, ask yourself, how much energy are we losing by being divided by these internal matters? Or what would it take if the entire movement, what would it look like if the entire movement stood united on the core goal of independence? Think about that for a second.
Divide and conquer, a method forged in the Empire's heart, designed to fracture, to splinter, to break. They pit us against each other, amplify our disagreements, and leave us too divided to rise. Nicola versus Salmon, brother against sister. Distracted by personal feuds, they watch as we fight among ourselves, while the real enemy tightens its grip. This is no accident. It is strategy, ancient and effective. Will we continue to play their game, or will we finally see the truth?
Oh yeah, I think our energy's wasted if we're falling victim to a bit of divide and conquer. It's difficult though, because sometimes the arguments that are made are quite seductive and personal and push you into a corner a little bit where you want to sort of like have your voice and you want to say something because you feel angry. 1 second, my cats are fighting. Stop it! Shh! The other one going, leave your brother alone. Look, he's there. Look at him. That's Indie. Indie. I wanted to call the other one Pendants, but I wasn't allowed. Can you believe that? I wasn't allowed to call the other one Pendants. That's shocking. Anyway, what do you think of that? Do you think that there was a great comment? Let me just go back and find it. Where was it? Right, Alistair Craig. Totally letting this come between them is a schoolboy error, and we all need to be together. If you're talking about Alex and Nicola, yeah, I totally agree. There's lines that I don't cross. for when it comes to independence. And I might be guilty a little bit of like not being prepared to compromise my values. Like I said, my values, I'm very pro-trans, I'm very pro-women's rights, I'm very pro-people, to be perfectly honest. You know, I'm very pro-pally. And I don't like violence against other people. I don't like persecution against other people. And I feel that sometimes when there's a little bit of like dark water between people, if it's something that can be mended, it should be. It really, really should be, especially when there's a greater good at risk here. So where you have Alex and Nicola, and you have the amount of people that are deeply embedded and entrenched with their beliefs about Alex being right, about Nicola being right, about Alapa being the only way forward, about the SNP being the only way forward, right? This entrenchment, this division will cost us a lot of time to move forward with independence, I feel. Let's have a wee look across in... We have... Amazing. We've got a good few people across now in YouTube land as well. I'm going to go and quickly check Facebook land. Facebook, we need to conquer Facebook. If you're in Facebook, say hello, please. It says that one person is watching. I would love to know who you are and send you a badge. Yes, I have badges. We have badges. Here's a badge. Because Facebook person, you just DM me and take a screen capture of me doing this. Okay? And then send you a badge. See? There's a badge. Stick in there. I've got loads of them. I don't sell them. I just give them away. I don't do merch. Give it away. Right. Where were we? Let us get on with the next segment. This is about local elites, agent provocateurs, people that are there that stir the pot, basically. So this is a classic strategy, again, one used by the British Empire, who used it to control colonies by elevating local rulers and local elites to elevated positions, and they were loyal to the British interests. These collaborators were used to keep their own people in check, and the same thing is happening in Scotland today. Now, this may sound really silly, what I'm about to say, but Douglas Ross and Anna Sarwar are politically elected, democratically elected, but they're key political figures who, while being Scottish, have actively worked against their own country's best interests by siding with the Union. I find the whole thing ridiculous. They present themselves as defenders of Scotland, yet their rhetoric aligns with unionist arguments that Scotland is better off within the UK. By collaborating with Westminster, they act as internal agents, subtly undermining... No, they're not subtle about it. By undermining the independence movement from within, they keep the arguments of nonsense going on in Holyrood with pointless comments and wasting time where we should be using our devolved powers a lot more effectively, and they should be on board with these things, but they just vote against the Scottish Government just for the sake of it. They offer a local face to anti-independence campaigns, which gives the illusion that Scotland consents to remain part of the Union. They're not the good guys in this story. They really, really aren't. They may truly believe in the Union, but we cannot be blind to the exploitation, and they cannot be blind to the exploitation of their own country. You know, I mean, what's that all about? You can't fix stupid at the end of the day when it comes to things like this. You can't fix stupid at all. I've got a picture of something actually. Hold on a wee second. Let me find it. I need to put that camera on and this. Right, so, come on. Why are you not coming up? Oh, it's not working. I had a picture that I could use. Oh, I know why it's not working. You need to be above there, don't you? I'm not going to play around with it because I'll break the settings. It was basically something that I was going to use to advertise something else later on. I did a podcasty sort of thing with a good friend of mine called Kareem, and it's called You Can't Fix Stupid, and it talks about kind of all the sort of subconscious belief in the union and kind of really mocks Labour. We did it before the election. It's worthwhile going and have a wee look. Go to the website, saorsascott.com, and you can see it advertised right on the front page. Well worth a wee look at. It's a shame that picture didn't come up. I thought I had it set properly, but obviously I don't. Right, so where was I? Yep, local unionist political elites will always belittle the Scottish Government and always side with the union and always look stupid, as they do, no matter what. Anas Sarwar, for instance, on the back of his no austerity under Labour statement during the election, gave the voters something to cling to with regards to the union. Change and a better direction is super seductive. However, when he finally reappeared in Holyrood after the election this week, he looked like a nodding dog, a union poodle. But that's not really fair on poodles, but he looked just uncomfortable. Listen, have a wee watch of this. That's the wrong one, hold on. It's that one.
Here is the perpetuation of austerity. And Mr Sarwar told me during the election campaign there would be no austerity under Labour. Now Mr Sarwar can try...
Let's hear the First Minister.
Mr Sarwar can make all the gesticulations he wants at me. Those were his words. No austerity under Labour, and we're getting austerity under the Labour Party as we speak. So my message to Mr Sarwar is if he wants to help the situation, he should say to his UK masters, end the austerity, because as he well knows, all roads lead back to Westminster on NHS funding.
Right, so did you see how uncomfortable Anas Sarwar was then? He was like, the big boy shouting at me. Right, I swear to God, right? The whole thing with Anas Sarwar, I used to think that he was quite articulate with the way he spoke, right? I used to think that he was worth listening to. Some of his arguments, made sense for holding the Scottish Government to account, not as like rhetoric about being pro-union, etc., but some of the stuff made for interesting listening to. Not anymore. He's lost it completely, any respect that I had for him as a politician, simply because of that I'm really getting behind Westminster attitude before the election, during the election campaign, and now like hiding away, not wanting to deal with things. He looks uncomfortable. He knows that Scotland's been exploited. He really, really does, and he feels uncomfortable with it. His face there, his whole body language just told that story. It's crazy. So we've talked about these local elites, but it's not just local elites, like going back from the days of colonialism and then now modern day political elites, okay? We've got companies as well, sort of like economic elites that have been used to being agents of division in Scotland. For example, back in 2014, companies like Royal Bank of Scotland and Standard Life threatened to leave Scotland if we voted for independence. These threats created a climate of economic fear, discouraging people from supporting independence because of the false belief that Scotland would become an economic disaster. This again mirrors colonial times, with local elites were used to spread the idea that independence would lead to chaos, fostering a dependency on the empire. Think about it for a second, right? Why are local Scottish leaders so invested in keeping Scotland tied to the UK? How do economic threats from major corporations shape public opinion on independence? Economic fear is a powerful tool. By making people believe that independence will lead to financial disaster, they make people cling to the status quo. It's the same tactic used back in colonial times. Keep the people dependent, keep them fearful, and they'll be less likely to push for change. But then it gets even worse. You don't just have political elites and local elites, princes, politicians, whatever. Don't just have business elites, or anything like that at all. We've also got what we call agent provocateurs. Now, these are the ones who work from the inside the movement to sow discord and distrust. And we've seen this with allegations of the SNP financial mismanagement. The media has seized on these claims. Now, whether or not, whether or not these people were agent provocateurs, I'm not one to point the finger at. Okay, there might have been genuine concerns from some of the honest opinion about the financial mismanagement with the SNP funds. It might have just been, let's go and do this and go public with it because I'm, well, anti-SNP, anti-independence. I don't know. There's values there that are questionable, okay? But the real damage wasn't just to the SNP, it was to the entire independence movement. So if we're wanting to attack the SNP, but understand the fallout, well, basically tars us all with the same brush. It diminishes and belittles the whole message of independence as a whole. And a lot of the time, a lot of these messages, they don't have the evidence to support them. I mean, what we have just now is we have the financial mismanagement of the SNP funds. Why have they not gone to court yet? Why have they not charged? Why are Police Scotland asking for advice from down south about this? Crazy. The more they do it, the worse it gets. And then some people are beginning to now see it as a bit diluted with all this trouble that has been caused from it. But again, this is classic divide and rule tactics. It's there because they want people to think, wait a minute, the SNP are incompetent or they can't be trusted or anything like that. But then when you look at the union, you look at the union and the ridiculous scandals that they had during COVID. How come we don't see blue tents outside Boris Johnson's house or Rishi Sunak's house or Michelle Moan's house, whatever her name is? I think Ken told me what her name was. Why don't we see that? Again, because they serve the status quo. And that's just the whole thing. We have to remember, right, we might not ever know who agent provocateurs are, but I'm going to say one thing. See, when we're independent, these people are not going to be able to hide their feelings. They're going to be recognised in the pages of history eventually. Previous agent provocateurs and spies already have in the past from our glorious history. But do you know what? I pity them. They have no vision. They just want to maintain a suppression and a status quo which does not benefit their own people. And that's really sad. So remember, agent provocateurs exist to create chaos, to fracture movements, to ensure that no real progress is made. So when you see no progress being made within a grassroots movement, our grassroots movement, and you become frustrated, ask yourself why. Why are we not moving forward? Well, because people are not believing, people are not wanting to because they don't trust us, we don't have a good message. It could be all these things. Okay? But if we recognise the tactics of people talking about negative things within the movement, we can maybe eliminate some of this before it happens. We have to understand that those people who claim to represent Scotland may not actually have Scotland's future in mind. We have to see through the distractions, through the chaos, and unite around the cause that truly matters: a free and independent Scotland. I ask myself daily when I read group chats and social media comments, is the cause of independence elevated about the height of a caravan and a career politician? Do I truly care about the bickering of activists amongst themselves about issues that do not further the cause? I don't. The cause of independence is so much more important than a frigging caravan. It's so much more important than somebody who wants to be in politics. It's so more important than just the bullshit and nonsense that you hear all the time. Okay, it's crazy. Some of my greatest and closest indie friends can't stand the SNP. I'm okay with that, alright? As my loyalty for independence basically elevates me above that opinion, and they're allowed to feel that way, and I'll never criticise them. I've had good discussions with some of my closest friends about their feelings about the SNP, and I respect them for that. For me, if there was another pro-independence party that was in government in Holyrood, they would have my vote, without a doubt. I would be voting for them because it's about having independence represented publicly, not just by the grassroots, but also politically in Holyrood. And that's where we are. We don't want to diminish that, okay? Anyway, it's time to break free from the influence of local elites, resist the provocateurs, and push forward with a clear vision for our future. My suggestion is remain critical of the things you disagree with, but allow your angry feelings to be elevated above the cause, or they will or if they do direct them to where they have a positive effect, direct them against the union. That is probably truly the most important thing. Now let's make sure I push the right button here.
They are among us, cloaked in loyalty but serving another master. Local elites, political puppets, business voices. They smile and speak for us, but their hands are tied to Westminster's strings. The provocateurs, subtle, cunning, fuel our divisions, distracting us from the goal. They claim to protect Scotland's interests, but whose interests do they truly serve? Beware the agents within, for they are not here to help. They are here to keep Scotland in chains.
Right, so I'm pushing buttons here. I want to show you something just now. I use Elgato Stream Deck. Look, this thing here. Okay, this has got all the scenes and things, and I've practiced pushing the right buttons over and over again, like in the past couple of days, and I've pushed the wrong ones 3 times tonight, even though I've got it written down on my order of things that I'm doing here. But there you go. Right, so quick round robin again. Hiya Rumi, thank you for joining us. Rumi is a friend of mine at work that took an interest in from conversations that we've had about independence. It's a pleasure to have you here. Really appreciate you coming and supporting us today. Everybody else that's in YouTube land, give us a thumbs up so I know that you're listening and everything's cool over there. TikTok land, the conversation is hot over here, which is great. I see Lauren's joined us. Hi Lauren, hope you're still there, not disappeared. And Druss said something about fifth columnists. That's a great way to describe them. People who are a secret column of, it was a fifth column was a secret sort of like collective of soldiers that would sneak in with civilian clothes and things and cause disruption, chaos, sort of like urban terrorism and during the different world wars that we've had. They're not great, okay? But it's a great way to describe them. And Alan, you said something good in the chat as well. Where are you? Yeah, my thoughts are independence first, and we can sort politics out afterwards. So many people who don't like the SNP, that want rid of them, that are pro-independence. The quickest way to get rid of the SNP is to get independence, because there's so many people within the SNP that have different beliefs. Like, I'm a member of the SNP. I'm not a zealot. I hold them to account for the things that I disagree with. However, I'm far more left than the SNP are when it comes to my political beliefs. I don't think that they're left enough for me to vote for them in an independent Scotland. We'll see. There might be a lefty SNP wing. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But it is important that we have a political representation in Holyrood still. And we need to work with them. And we need to game the Holyrood system. And that's what next week's stream is going to be about. We're going to be talking about a voting strategy to deliver as many pro-independence people into Holyrood as we possibly can. A tidbit for that is just to get the juices thinking and talking about that in your brain just now. We've spent the last however many years the SNP's been in power fighting unionists in the Scottish Parliament, debating them pushing back against pro-Scottish policies and pro-Scottish values. That is insane. Okay, I would be happy with a minority government, because that's what the additional member system kind of generates. We've only ever had one majority government in Holyrood, and that was because it was a perfect storm, perfect amount of constituency seats versus the amount of votes we had for the list. We'll talk about that boring stuff next week, right? But that is really difficult to obtain. It really, really is. It also, the skies were quite blue for the SNP at that time. We were like the political darlings of Scotland, so people came out in their droves and voted. Okay, so put that to the side. Wouldn't it be better if we had a minority government that were debating a whole bunch of people that were pro-independence in the opposition benches? So instead of sort of like pushing against unionists, they were debating about the best way a pro-Scottish policy could be made to deliver for the people of Scotland. Would that not be better? Would that not show so many people that we can do things differently, that the Scottish government is mostly pro-independence? To me, it makes sense. Not many people like it, but to me it does. Anyway, that's next week's stream, and hopefully when I write that up, I push the right friggin' buttons on my stream deck here, to be perfectly honest. Right, we're going to go into the last segment of the main part of the stream, because there's a couple of wee other addendums I want to do, like talk about a couple of things that happened in Holyrood, and also our 10-year anniversary of the referendum. So this third segment is about economic dependency and exploitation. Perhaps this is the most insidious tactic of all. So throughout history, the British Empire used economic dependency to maintain control of its colonies by turning these regions into suppliers of raw materials and forcing them to rely on British goods. They kept the colonies underdeveloped and dependent. Scotland's resources, particularly its oil and now its renewable energy, are being similarly exploited. Despite producing vast amounts of energy, much of Scotland's wealth from this is funneled through UK-controlled systems, where the energy produced in Scotland is exported to England and then resold to Scots at inflated prices. I don't know if you're aware of this, I don't have the picture, but I'm sure that I'll stick it up on Instagram. They're actually building 4 massive cables down the east coast of Scotland to pump all of our renewable energy down south, so the energy lands ashore in England, completely bypassing us as the producer of the energy. I think that is utterly atrocious. 4 massive cables over the next few years. Now, the only upside to that, right, the only good thing about that is it saves us actually building them for when we're independent. You know, we can just stick a meter on that and charge them. Or we might just have to destroy them and start again. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Okay, so consider that for a second, that our economic exploitation of our resources is happening every single day. But there's more to it than that. It's not just that. We have like a massive lever of economic control over us as a whole, all right? And this is called the Barnett Formula. Now, most people within the independence movement will understand exactly what the Barnett Formula is. They have a good understanding of how it's used to dictate what public spending we have in Scotland. So in brief, for people that might not know about it, basically this formula is used and it governs public spending across the UK. So when public spending limits have been established in England, the Barnett Formula is used to establish the public spending for the devolved parliaments within their devolved responsibilities. The amount is reached for each nation and then is handed over in what we have come to know as the block grant. However, you do need to understand that when public spending is cut in England, that the reduction of this spending will reflect on the funds available to the devolved nations. For example, health spending. If it's cut in England, it's cut in England. But that means there's less money being spent on the NHS down south per head of population, and then this incurs a direct consequence to Scotland's budget. This is why they're called Barnett consequentials, okay? They don't call it that for nothing. It's just what it's called, right? So this is another tool that reinforces the myth of economic dependency. While it appears that Scotland receives more per capita via the Barnett Formula, the reality is that Scotland's resources contribute far more to the UK economy than it gets back, all right? Yeah, we know this as indie folk. We really, really do. We understand this, we get this, and this is why we are fighting for independence. This also mirrors the colonial model where wealth of a region was extracted to enrich the empire while keeping the region in a state of dependency. The narrative of economic dependency has been pushed hard by unionist forces who continually to argue that Scotland would struggle to survive without the UK. But this is a lie, a blatant lie. Scotland has the resources and the potential to thrive independently. We know that our nation is a wealthy nation. Many of us understand that we're exploited to the detriment of our people. And it's not a matter of whether we have the wealth to thrive. That's not in question. We know that it's there. What is in question is the matter of who controls our wealth. And right now, that control lies beyond the borders of Scotland, of where the wealth is actually generated. Consider this. If Scotland controls its own resources, how would its economic future change? How would it change? Why is there such a strong narrative that suggests Scotland cannot survive without the UK?
The tactics are clear, the strategies laid bare. Divide us, manipulate us, exploit us. This has been their way for centuries. But now we see. We understand the game that has been played against us. Scotland is not weak. We are not dependent. We are strong, resourceful, and united when we choose to be. It's time to rise above the tactics, above the fear, above the lies. Our future is ours to claim. Together we break the chains. Together we reclaim Scotland's right to stand free.
One heart, one land, united we stand. If you're going to a march next year, that's the chant. One heart, one land, united we stand. I'm getting a bit bored of what do we want? Independence. When do we want it? No, I've got some other chants. Hold on. Oh, we'll do that next week. Right, so consider that then, okay? Why is there such a strong narrative that suggests Scotland can't survive without the UK? Because the UK can't survive without Scotland. It's classic projection. You're garbage at everything you do. You can't even manage the meagre pocket money that we give you to look after the health service. Yeah, well, you're cutting the health service, bozo. So we get less money, right? And not a lot of people that are swithering yes or no understand how this works. It's a whole conversation that we need to be talking about all the time. Let's have a quick look around. Yes, thank you, Remy. One heart, one land, united we stand. Do you like that? I'm glad that you wrote that down there. That's really cool. What else have we got? What's MSM Programming Trust? Please inform me. Can't write it here. Write it on the, what's it called? Come into the Discord afterwards. Okay. Which would be cool. Right, we're just going to quickly sum up and then we're going to go to the addendum where we'll talk about a few other wee things that have happened this week. So we've discussed divide and rule, local elites and economic exploitation, and these are not just relics of the past. They're active, deliberate strategies being used today to suppress the Scottish independence movement, and recognising these tactics is the first step to resisting them. That's important. Scotland is not a dependent nation, and the resources that have been exploited for too long should be used to benefit the people of Scotland, especially our renewables. The renewables with those big cables getting built down the east coast is going the same way as the oil. They will suck the life out of Scotland. We need to stand up and we need to stop them from doing this. The fight for independence is more than just about political sovereignty. It's about reclaiming Scotland's future, its wealth, and our right for self-determination. By uniting, rejecting the influence of those who work against us from within, and taking control of our resources, we can build the independent Scotland we all know is possible.
can't get no sleep.
Saorsa Live for Independence Insomniacs late night indie chat every Friday at 11 o'clock, and I have to keep very quiet because my baby is asleep, so that's why I've not been shouting at the microphone as much tonight. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm just going down the quick chat just now. There's Barry. How you doing, Barry? Thank you. I didn't see you sneak in there. I better behave myself. Barry is my technical genius. He is the man at the desk for me. He's one in a million, and he writes incredible things. So wherever you see my stuff, when it goes lazylinks.co.uk/Saorsa, that is like a link tree type thing that Barry made, and I quite like the name Lazy Links because it's quite apt. It's not just link tree, Lazy Links for people that are lazy like me that want you to go and have a look. So all our social media is sitting on lazylinks.co.uk/Saorsa. You can find it all there, dead easy to find, and go and have a shot of it. What else? We've got David. You're confusing me because you're both over here now. Rumi's away to bed. Good night, Rumi. I'll see you at work tomorrow, mate. Cool. Right, so that's that bit over with. Okay. Hey, you're confusing me because you were across on YouTube a minute ago, David. Now you're on TikTok. Backwards and forwards, forwards and backwards. Okay, so the next sort of 10-15 minutes is just kind of a little bit of a roundup of my personal experience for the week, and then we're going to talk briefly about the 10-year anniversary as well. I've got two little segments within that I want to talk about. Okay, but first of all, I want to talk about, I don't know if you've heard of Jenny Gilruth. She is my new favourite fan person coming into politics, right? She is the Education Secretary for the Scottish Government, and, you know, some people don't like her. I think she's utterly fabulous. I had the pleasure of meeting her on Wednesday. There we are. There is Mo with Jenny. She is lovely, and the only reason I like her simply is because she is coined a phrase in a debate in Holyrood where she was getting heckled by the Tories, and then she just said, look, it's your union. You need to own it. In fact, I've got the video. Hold on a second. I edited the video to make it sound cooler, so watch this.
The Scottish Government are in a financial straitjacket, and there is never a scintilla of recognition that maybe, just maybe, decisions taken elsewhere are harming the decisions rather taken in this Parliament. Because that context is what the Unionist parties have bequeathed to the children of Scotland. That context matters. A block grant cut for capital of nearly 9%, meaning £1.3 billion less for Scotland. Look, I hear the Unionist parties heckling from a sedentary position. This is their union. They should take ownership of these cuts coming to Scotland. A £1.2 billion cut. I hear anger from the Conservative benches. This is their union. They should own it.
Yeah, so we just got reported for not being live. Losers. Okay. Totally live, and if you don't like it, well, losers. Listen, if you don't like the fact that I'm talking down the union, okay, it's your union. Friggin' own it, mate. Okay, honest to God. Another wee thing, I think that own it thing should be a t-shirt. It really should. Let's see if I can get the right one here. Yeah, there we go. How about having that on a t-shirt? What do you think? Jenny is a bit of a cartoon with it's your union, own it. And that is the argument that I want to put out to all you people in TikTok land, YouTube land, Facebook land, when we're kind of on the defensive sometimes, when we're dealing with people that believe in the union. We face a lot of criticism and stuff, so it's like a case of like, talk to the handmate, okay? Your decisions made in Westminster are having a detrimental effect on Scotland. This is your union. You need to own it. Like, that is what we want. That is what we want to have. All right, so yeah, let's just have a look at that t-shirt again, because I think it's quite funny. It's your union. Own it. Yeah, I'm going to get it printed for next week, by the way, and I'm going to wear it on the live next week. And yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, right, what's the next thing? Grangemouth. Okay, so this is lifted directly from the BBC website. All right, so Scotland's only oil refinery is to close by the summer of next year with a loss of 400 jobs. This is ridiculous. Petronas said the closure of Grangemouth was due to not being able to compete with sites in Asia, Africa and the Middle East. From a business model, that may be true. The company said the decision would safeguard fuel supply for Scotland by converting the site into a terminal able to import petrol. Great. Okay, and diesel, aviation fuel, etc. But would require a workforce of fewer than 100 employees compared to the current 475. So I'm not going to read the rest of it because I get pretty angry, but I'm going to show you what Keir Starmer promised. This was in the Telegraph on the 8th of July, 4 days after he became Prime Minister. Keir Starmer pledges to save hundreds of jobs at Scotland's last oil refinery. The PM says talks would start immediately on a rescue plan for closure threatened to Grangemouth plant as he targets ending SNP's Holyrood reign. Sir Keir Starmer has vowed to save hundreds of jobs at Scotland's last oil refinery. Wow. It didn't last very long, did it? No, that's because Keir Starmer is too busy looking for freebies for his wife. Yes, that's right. Freebies for his wife. We know that because it was a bit of a scandal. He didn't report it in time, although he denies everything. And you know something? He'll get away with it. It's not a big deal. It's a couple of dresses, a couple of hats. And then his wife got some clothes as well, I believe. But there you go. It's a disgrace what's happening to Grangemouth. An utter disgrace. It should be saved, and it should be an example for pushing for independence, to use our natural resources and the wealth that we could create to upgrade that refinery for Scotland, and we should build another one somewhere else. Now, we're moving away to net zero, absolutely, but we still need to do a just transition, and people will still need to use oil for petrochemicals as well, not just so much for fuel, but we still need it for a lot of manufacturing to produce different types of plastics and stuff, different sort of chemicals. So there'll still be an industry there, and we still need to utilise that. You know, crazy. Right, so let's have a quick look around. Does anybody know who Ian Murray is? Does that make you feel a bit nauseous? Okay. Well, there's an old tweet of his. I want to bring it up just now. Check this tweet. This is Ian Murray, way back in, when was it? August 26, 2022. Okay. Pre-1997, I remember the news used to report almost daily the number of pensioners freezing to death in their own homes. We're heading back there this winter unless the government acts now. This is the Secretary of State for Scotland in the Labour Party talking about the Tories not providing enough finances for the pensioners during the winter of 2022. What a friggin' hypocrite. Utterly hypocritical. It's ridiculous. The money that they're saving from the pensioners is being spent 100 times over with things like Ukraine, things like Trident. You know, it's just ridiculous as a whole. It's embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. Let's have a quick look around again. Okay, so Rumi has gone to bed. Discovered that before, but you said goodbye to David over on the Tube of Views. Ali, yes, turds. Turds is an understatement, mate. Turds is probably the tamest word I would use to describe them for that. And Ian Murray is a ridiculous friggin' wanker. Oh, did I just say that? Is it past midnight yet? Oh yes, it's just past the watershed. Superb. I can swear now, which is wonderful. I tried to set myself a limit of when I swear before 12 o'clock, but after 12 o'clock, anything goes. Chris is saying, and someone else gets 4-month investigation for a 28 pence sheet of paper. Yeah, totally. So that was there not a scandal for stamps as well? Using either Holyrood stamps or Westminster stamps, like postage stamps, to send something out. I mean, wow. Crazy nonsense. Thanks, Ali, for saying it's a great live. Michael, thank you for the laughs. I try to entertain. Which is great. Right, so I want to finish up tonight with just a bit of a conversation, a bit of a read of something I wrote about the past 10 years, well, since the referendum and stuff. So bear with me while I just quickly wet my whistle. Is wetting your whistle not a sexual connotation? Maybe I shouldn't be saying that. No, I still have I'm going to take a picture of that. I have a thing up on my screen just now saying that it is a pre-recorded live. I'm going to take a photograph of that. Where's my friggin' camera? There you go, camera. Let me take a picture of you. This is a pre-recorded live. I'm going to use that as a slide next week. In fact, just actually take it as a better screen capture. Second. Okay. Right then. Oh, that's that saved. Brilliant. Right. Let's begin with our recap since the independence referendum. So 10 years have passed since Scotland voted to remain part of the United Kingdom, following promises of stability, prosperity, and an influential voice within the Union. Yet as the anniversary of the 2014 independence referendum comes and goes with little fanfare from the Unionist leaders, one has to ask, why the silence? Where the celebration for the Unionist triumph that supposed secured Scotland's future? Perhaps it's because the decade that followed has seen decisions that are difficult to herald as victories for Scotland. The scrapping of the winter fuel allowance, a vital support for pensioner, leaves many vulnerable through harsh winters. The imposition of the 2-child benefit cap and the deeply controversial grape clause represent policies that may not find only punitive but morally indefensible. Is this what was promised when Scotland was told to choose the Union? Then there's the matter of Scotland's rich renewable energy resources. Our country has the potential to lead in green energy, yet much of this energy is funneled to England while Scots continue to face rising energy prices at home. And despite this vast energy contribution, there's been little to no relief from the soaring cost of living crisis. Perhaps the greatest blow came in 2016 when the UK voted for Brexit, a decision overwhelmingly rejected by Scots. Scotland was told that voting to remain in the Union would protect its place in Europe. Now Scotland finds itself dragged out of the European Union against its will, with its economy and international ties weakened. Promises of influence and security within the Union seem all but broken, leaving many wondering what exactly was won in 2014. With such a legacy of promises broken and punitive policies, and a Brexit that has only deepened the divide between Scotland and Westminster, it's little wonder that the Unionists of 2014 remain silent today. What is there to celebrate when the vision of Scotland they offered seems further away than ever? Why are they not out celebrating austerity, Brexit, etc.? I think they're embarrassed. But as soon as they start to feel that way, they bring out the Union Jack, start waving it and shouting no surrender. Shame. No vision. However, in utter contrast, the independence movement have saw posters printed and distributed in the Scottish Paper of Independence. In fact, I think I actually have one here. Hold on a second, let me just make sure. Yes, there we go. Hold on. It's this one here. Boom. So this was printed and distributed in the paper on Wednesday, the Still Yes image by Believe in Scotland. That was put out for every single person. I've got one up. I'm going to get it framed and stick it up in my living room. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, so if you've got one of those, use it, okay? Keep it. It's a bit of history there. So the indie movement has proven its resilience, continuing to grow in strength and determination despite the challenges that followed the 2014 referendum. And nearly half of the country voted for independence. The movement has maintained its momentum, evolving through political shifts and external forces such as Brexit. The latter in particular reignited discussions of independence as Scotland overwhelmingly voted to remain in the EU, but was ultimately pulled out against our will, deepening the sense that Scotland's voice within the UK was being marginalised. 10 years since the referendum have been marked by both highs and lows for the independence movement. Grassroots activism has remained vibrant, with campaigners working tirelessly to keep the cause at the forefront of Scottish political discourse. Despite Westminster's refusal to entertain a second referendum, the movement has garnered increasing support. New milestones achieved through the Scottish Government, such as the establishment of the Scottish Child Payment and other progressive measures, have demonstrated how decisions made in Scotland can have a positive impact on its people, further solidifying the case for self-government. On the 18th of September 2024, the movement marked the 10-year anniversary of the referendum with a series of events that reflected both a reflection and a hope for the future. One of the most notable events was a powerful address by John Swinney, our First Minister, when he spoke about the overwhelming positive legacy of the referendum. Swinney highlighted key achievements such as a fairer social security system and Scotland's leadership in renewable energy, juxtapositioning these against the failures of Westminster decisions, including the effects of Brexit and the austerity policies. That same evening, Believe in Scotland hosted a rally at Holyrood, gathering in their hundreds of independent supporters. It wasn't in the thousands, it was in the hundreds, about maybe 600 or 700, and people can take the mickey out of that if they want to, but it was a Wednesday night and it was in the evening. Not many people are going to come to that. Okay, I went to it, I was working it, I'll show you some pictures in a minute or two. The rally was framed as a grassroots effort, emphasising that the movement's strength lies in the people, not just party politics. The organisers encouraged supporters to join in solidarity, declaring that independence is essential for Scotland's future well-being. The event served as a public declaration that the movement was not only alive, but gaining renewed energies. These celebrations were not just about remembering the past, but about looking forward with a renewed optimism. Both Swinney's speech and the Believe in Scotland rally reflected a shared belief that the next chapter of Scotland's future can and will be one of self-determination and prosperity. Today was a clear demonstration of independence movement's lasting relevance, its ability to unite people across the country, and its steadfast commitment to securing a better future for all Scots. And I'm proud, very proud, to know the people that I know in the movement. And I want to take this opportunity right now for friends old that have in the movement and friends new that I've met since then through social media and all the things that we do. My life is better because of every one of you, even if we disagree about things within the movement, even if our political parties are different. Our goal is independence, to make Scotland better, to make it a place worthy for our children to inherit. It's not about anything other than that for me. And it's something that we should all consider and all understand. I'm going to play this and then we're going to be right back.
My name is Jackie and I want to build a better Scotland by creating a national care service so that every person who may require help does so with the dignity they deserve. What would you do to build a better Scotland?
That's something that we ask all the time here. What would you do to build a better Scotland? Take politics out of the question, take political policy out of the question. You've got a magic wand. You could wave your magic wand and deliver something that would be positive for Scotland tomorrow. Think about it, and by all means, comment about that and let us know what you think. Let's have a look at some of these pictures now, though. I have to make sure that I'm pushing the right ones. Let's see this one here. This is me with my family. I just want to say my two boys look like that they're actually posing for a mugshot. My mum and my daughter, on the other hand, look very happy to be down there, but I'm actually there working the actual thing. Where's the next one? This is the crowd outside the Parliament. Yeah, maybe 400 or 500 people there. It was great. Nice seeing all the saltires. Next one. Got dark quite quickly. You know, we're heading into winter. Got a bit cold as well. But you know something, it was really quite cool. I got some nice photographs. I've not got them on this bit, but I've got some nice photographs of the sun setting behind the Parliament, which was really quite cool as well. And then the last one is my friend Ken with his Palestinian and his saltire, Palestinian flag and his saltire there. It was a good night. And I have to say, it was great to hang out with a whole bunch of indie folk. And the Believe in Scotland team, Saorsa, is actually affiliated with Believe in Scotland. And if you don't know what Believe in Scotland is, just go and Google them. They are an amalgamation of like a whole bunch of yes groups all over the country. Some people belittle them and all the rest of it, but Gordon McIntyre Kemp turned around and said, look, I don't care about the differences that we may have had in the past. I don't care about that. Here's the hand of friendship, and I extend it to every single person that believes in independence to come and work together, to get in touch. We will work with you. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it's necessary. We will never, ever get independence if we're not doing that. During the Palestinian marches that I've attended, one of the greatest chants and pieces of energy collectively shouted by the people is, a nation, a people united will never be divided. I kind of see that the other way around with Scotland just now. A people divided will never have a nation united. You know, it's sad, but we have to accept that if there was a referendum tomorrow, yeah, we'd all vote yes, but are we going to win the hearts and minds of people if we're bickering all the time? That's just it. Anyway, I'm going to draw this live to a close. It's been an hour and 15 minutes tonight. I've ran about 25 minutes over my time. Let me take the chance to quickly look in the YouTube chat. Anybody there? Last chance for comments in the YouTube chat. Give us a wave, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what's going on in your part of the world there, and across in TikTok land. Thank you very much, Ken. You're still hanging out, man. You're doing well. Alan, thank you very much for your comments tonight. It's been a pleasure having you here. But I will watch. Thank you, David. Sorry, I saw that earlier on. I meant to comment on that. I will have a look at Wednesday's debate night and see what was said. It'll be very interesting. And let me have a quick look all across in Facebook land. Whoa, we have people in Facebook. Martin, thank you very much for coming in there. I know who you are, Druss. And Ken also did stuff. And Caroline Campbell, thank you very, very, very much for joining us and being my first ever commenter on Facebook that is not a follower from before. Alright, so I genuinely appreciate that. We need to conquer Facebook and get people watching through Facebook, because it's so much more fun if we get more people watching there. So yeah, that is us for tonight. We're going to draw the whole thing to a close now. I will be hitting Discord in about 5 minutes to speak to the team if anybody wants to join us there that's in the team. If you're interested in joining our Discord, you have to get in touch with a DM on TikTok or on Instagram. Just say that you were watching it live, and if you want any information about it, we're quite welcome indie folk only. We will run an independent security background check on you to make sure that you're not compromised by the union, of course. That has to be done. We don't let any old riffraff into the Discord, you know. It's a safe space for us indie folk, yes. But there you go. That's just a joke. Right. Joining us tonight. See you next week. Have fun.